Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Amateur Experts Podcast, where we are experts on absolutely nothing. See, Drew snuck on his Rams jersey there. Put a nice little Rams front cover here on the YouTube if you're watching. So I wonder what today's episode could be about. But I am your host, Landon Oliver, here with my co-host, Andrew Scott. What's going on, man?
Feeling good, man. I can't really complain too much. Been seeing the Rams been talked about a lot, the last couple days, in a good way. So that's always nice to hear.
Generally, when you go in and put a pretty good beating on the reigning Super Bowl champions and Tom Brady, it's a good way to get noticed.
Yeah. St. Louis Cardinals are likely about to clinch a playoff spot while we're recording this.
Yes.
Lock up the second wild card after a hell of a wild ride of a season. That they have ended with a September only the Cardinals can come up with. So
this will be win 17 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, sports are good right now, man. So, and as somebody that's as engulfed in sports as I am, whenever the sports are going good, it's hard to complain. So I'm here. I'm ready to go.
At least you're here. Sports are not going good over other than the Cardinals. The Cardinals are pretty much all I have at the moment. Unfortunately, the Colts, we're not going to spend really much time on them because they don't deserve any attention on this podcast until they decide they actually enjoy the game of football, or at least want to play it. So, we're not even going to talk about them. We're going to talk about fun stuff.
Let's do that.
Yeah, so let's talk about some fun stuff. If you did notice, once again, Jared is out. He is still battling COVID, just trying to get over that. So just wanting to send him, once again, our well wishes. I just talked to him earlier, though. Everything's good. He's feeling good, just trying to get, back up to normal. So everything's good on his end. And hopefully, whether it's later on this week, next week, sometime here in the near future, he will be back joining us once again. And look, I fully blame the Colts as well. You're not helping him at all. Trying to feel better. So it's all your fault. So this week, once again, we are doing our week 3 review that we did with our smash and pass and our DFS. And we're going to give you our weekly risers, fallers, and surprise teams this far into the season based on 3 weeks. And look, let's just get the ugly stuff out of the way here. So me and you had a water bet on Matthew Stafford for the top 12. The Buccaneers defense really good. Not this week, obviously, because I had bet on them. So it looks like I'm going to be getting a little wet here in the foreseeable future. But we will go over our smash and pass here with quarterbacks. We'll start with quarterbacks. I'm just, rip the Band-Aid off right away here. So my quarterback smash of the week was Daniel Jones against the Atlanta Falcons, who have been by far one of the worst, if not the worst, pass defense, and pretty much any defense, actually, in the NFL. He had a great week against Washington, even though, Washington's got a talented team. Their defense has been awful as well. I don't know what's going on there, but
we'll talk about that more later.
Yeah. So he shredded, Washington. He's looked good. He was quarterback 5 through, I believe, the first couple of weeks. He gets the Atlanta Falcons. I'm feeling good. I put it out there into the universe on this podcast for all, 7 people to hear, and boom, big old dud. I believe
Daniel Jones did.
Yeah, you have it pulled up where he finished. Where was he?
Yeah, he was quarterback 25 on the week in 6-point touchdown leagues.
Yeah. No bueno. No bueno, in the words of Dora the Explorer. Now let's get on to my quarterback pass for the week. It's going to be Matthew Stafford. I thought he would finish, like I said, not necessarily have a bad week, but just not finish as a QB1. I thought he was going to be more of a high-end quarterback 2 on the week. That was wrong as well. So I believe he finished quarterback 3 overall on the week.
About a point and a half away from finishing quarterback 2. But I believe Herbert was the one that just edged him out. And then Josh Allen, of course, blew everybody away.
And if you listen to, of course, the other podcast that we did before we did this, if you did listen to that, I said I benched Justin Herbert for Daniel Jones. I still won in that league, luckily, but yeah, it was not a good quarterback week for me. And then my sleeper was Teddy Bridgewater, who once again, even though he had a good game in real life, it was not a good fantasy week. Basically because both running backs got involved in the touchdowns and there were none for Teddy, but it worked out for me because I was playing Cortland Sutton this week. So
there you go.
Yeah. So I wasn't too upset on that, but yeah, it makes me look like an idiot once again. The week after the Tom Brady thing, then
he was quarterback 27 on the week, but he was 19 of 25 for 235 yards. But they were playing the Jets. The early touchdowns went to the running backs, and they just didn't need to do anything else to beat them at that point. So it was just the game flow was unfortunate. You needed those early touchdowns to go to Teddy.
Yeah.
If that happens, he has a great week.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, we're only 3 weeks into the year. The usage numbers and,
Cardinals are back in the playoffs, by the way. Not to interrupt you, but
yeah,
it's official.
Yeah, I just got that notification a second ago. So yeah, I got that going on for me. So I'm feeling good about that.
Can't wait to find out which NFC West team we get to play.
Yeah.
In the wild card game.
Yeah. So it's either way, who would you rather see?
Oh, I'd rather see the Giants. Both teams are scary, but I would much rather have to go up against like Kevin Gossman in a 1-game playoff than I would Max Scherzer or Julio Urias or Walker Buehler or any the rotation. But as hard as the Cardinals offense is, nobody really scares me. Like I'm going to be confident going into it. But if I
got good history against the Dodgers too,
right, and not very good history against the Giants, so maybe lean that way.
Yeah,
it's going to be a tough game either way. Yeah. Those two NFC West teams are stacked. So I'm just looking forward to Cardinals playoff baseball. Even if it is just 1 game, I'm going to enjoy every second of it. So
well, hopefully we'll enjoy it. But let's get back to week 3 here.
Yep.
So yeah, that ends up. I think that takes care of my quarterbacks. Now we were getting into the running backs. Just go straight into that. My running back smash of the week was Saquon Barkley against the Falcons, who actually had a really good game.
Running back 10 on the week.
Yeah, so it finished as an RB1. Would have loved him to get a little bit higher, but it is what it is there.
18.5 points, running back 10 for a guy that performed, the way he had through the first 2 weeks to come out and, for you to call for him to be confident in playing him, and then for him to come out and do that, that's solid, man.
Yeah. And then another good one for me when the running backs is running back pass was Joe Mixon on the week. I was not a big fan of Joe Mixon, and I believe he finished where did he finish at with running backs this week?
Running back 27, and in half-point leagues he failed to reach 10 points.
Yeah.
Had 18 touches and only 90 yards.
Yeah, so not a good week from Joe Mixon. Which, once again, I was playing against him. I was fine with, and glad that we got that one right. So where I did miss on the quarterbacks, I got right on the running backs, and my running back sleeper of the week was, of course, a huge bust, but not necessarily because he had a bad game. It's because he had no game, and that was Tyson Williams.
Running back 60. It was only given 5 carries.
Yeah.
How is this?
The guy led the league in yards per rush going into the game, and they gave him 5 carries.
It's so obvious that he's the most talented running back. And if you want to involve Latavius a little bit, whatever. But why is Devontae Freeman even touching the field?
Devontae Freeman looked awful.
He is
awful.
Washed. He's bad. He's cooked. He's done. Yeah. Hang it up.
And look, anytime you can give the ball, take the ball out of the hands of a guy that's averaging nearly 7 yards per carry and give it to the corpse of Devontae Freeman.
I don't get it, man.
You got to do it.
Makes no sense. I get the whole change of pace thing with Latavius or whatever, the big body and stuff to give him some carries, but why give Devontae any? Why only give Tyson 5? It makes no sense.
Yeah, and they barely beat the Lions. Like they got one.
That's what they deserve. They deserve to lose to the Lions for the way that they.
The refs kind of gifted them that. Going into that, they didn't call the delay a game on.
Right.
And then the Lions, that's the most Lions game I can think of. Like,
and then Justin Tucker
yeah,
did Justin
breaking an
Tucker
NFL,
things.
breaking an NFL record. Like, that's such a Lions thing to happen. You got to feel for those fans. Like, it's just
the Chargers are finally seeing success, so somebody had to step up and lose games like that.
Yeah. Well, at least the Lions were competitive, unlike some other teams that we know of. Not mentioning names, but you know. So now we will get into you. I believe you had wide receivers and
I had all the pass catchers. Yeah. So wide receiver smash of the week for me was Julio Jones going up the Colts secondary that had been very vulnerable. And he finished as the whopping wide receiver 62 on the week with 6 fantasy points. He only played 33 snaps, which was a season low for him, which is, I think he only come out to like 50%.
He's scared of Xavier Rhodes.
Well, Vrabel came out after the game and said that he thinks he might have sustained an injury in the game. Shocker, back on the Julio injury train.
AJ Brown also.
But he only AJ Brown's out, but he only had 4 targets, and unfortunately he wasn't the benefactor of any of the passing touchdowns that Tannehill threw. I think a rookie,
Chester Rodgers.
Yeah, Chester Rodgers got one, and then a rookie got his first career touchdown. The guy's name's mistake is I can't remember it, but
there's I believe it was their running back, because it was 3rd and 10, goal to go, and the Colts refused to
I think it was something Westbrook.
Back. Yeah,
I can't remember.
The Colts refused to cover the running back out of the flat, and he on 3rd and 10 in the red zone, like goal line, he walked the running back off of a pass in the flat, walked in untouched.
But my wide receiver pass of the week was Terry McLaurin, who I said I expected to be more of a low end wide receiver 2 with his matchup with Tre'Davious White. He ended up coming in at wide receiver 46, so he wasn't even a wide receiver 3. So that one at least worked out. He was 4 of 7 for 62 yards. But that being said, I said that I didn't like the matchup, but I love Terry McLaurin. He gets Atlanta next week, so you can hop right back on the McLaurin train next week. Like, this was not a wide receiver pass because McLaurin isn't a good player. And he gets to go from Tre'Davious White to Atlanta secondary. So I expect him to be right back on destroying defenses next week. And then my sleeper was Sammy Watkins, who came in as wide receiver 43, which had 8.8 fantasy points for a sleeper that was, in the 60s in most rankings last week. I don't feel terrible about that. He had 4 receptions for 68 yards. It was just unfortunate that the touchdown went to Devin Duvernay instead of him. But
yeah, that lockdown Lions defense.
Right. Yeah. Tight end smash.
Oh man.
Kyle Pitts.
We need to play some Sarah McLachlan for you. Like,
I need some sad music or something.
The arms of the angel. That, like, your boy. I mean, that's your boy. That's your son right there.
Tight end 23 on the week, 4.5 points, 2 catches on only 3 targets for 35 yards. 3rd string tight end Lee Smith caught the touchdown. And Matt Ryan is now turning into check down Ryan, apparently, with Cordell Patterson. And Kyle Pitts' downfield, field stretching ability is just outside of like 1 catch so far this season. His field stretching ability is just not being put to use. He's still out there a ton. He's still running a ton of routes, so it's hard for me to like push the panic button on Pitts, but it's definitely tough to feel as optimistic as I did at the start of the season with how bad this offense has looked. So turn that shit off. I guess you can keep it rolling because this next one's just as bad.
Yeah, just keep going.
Next one's just as bad. So my tight end passed on the week, and a guy said that you could even just go ahead and drop if you needed to pick up another tight end to play. Mike Gosicki, who turned into target hog Mike Gosicki. Tight end 4 on the week, 10 catches on 12 targets, 13.5 fantasy points. And all bets are off with Gosicki apparently being a drop candidate as long as Jacoby Brissett is at quarterback, if he's going to see that kind of target volume. And Jalen Waddle had insane target volume. I think he had like 12 catches, but he only had like 60 yards.
Yeah, he got used.
I mean, if Jacoby's going to be hyper targeting those guys like that, I mean,
his target, like, even when he was in Indy, like, his ADOT was like extreme, like sub 5 yards.
And that
So
that
I
was
believe,
very
yeah, I believe his ADOT in this game was like 3.4 yards per
yeah.
target.
Yeah, I mean,
So
if you don't have one of the top tight ends, what you're looking for is just opportunity. And if Gosicki's going to see that kind of opportunity, man, I hope you didn't drop him because
yeah, and look, if you do have him, like he gets the Colts, so you go ahead and fire him up.
yeah, I mean, eventually they're going to transition back from Brissett to Tua, and Mike Gesicki with Tua has not been Mike Gesicki with Jacoby Brissett through one game, so I don't know what that's going to look like. But if Jacoby's going to target that guy like that, roll him out there. I mean, shit, there's not very many tight ends that's going to get 12 targets. So, um, tight end sleeper of the week was Gerald Everett, and he came in at tight end 15. He had 8
Yeah,
fantasy
he
points,
actually
5
had a pretty
receptions for
decent game.
54 yards. So, yeah, not bad. Still playing 80% of snaps, still running plenty of routes for an offense that is going to score a lot. Again, if you're one of those teams that's a tight end streaming team, Gerald Everett continues to be an option that you can go to on a weekly basis that's going to give you a decent floor. And if he gets in the end zone, you're going to get a great game out of him. So, if I do tight ends next week, there's a decent chance that I'm just going to say Gerald Everett again. But I'll come up with something different, just for the sake of giving a different name. But he's that type, that's where he is in the tight end landscape. So that's the smash or pass review. The only other thing we have to cover very quickly, we each gave a DFS lineup right at the end of the episode that we were each playing that we felt good about. And good news, the lineup I gave on the show cashed in for like a whopping $1. I think I was 145,000th place out of 480,000 entries. But I had the Russ DK stack, Austin Eckler, Saquon, Julio, unfortunately, Emmanuel Sanders in his big game, Kelsey, Jonathan Taylor, and then the Raiders defense. So, wasn't huge money, but you could have at least gotten some of your entry money back for the week throwing that lineup out there.
Yeah,
So
if you listen to me, you completely lost all of your entry money, mainly because Julio and Jonathan Taylor, just the other guys, didn't have bad games, but nobody really blew up enough to where like it was, it was able to offset those two guys, no
right.
showing. Or, well, I shouldn't say Jonathan Taylor no showed. I mean, he, 6.4 yards per carry, but when you have a coach that would rather give a quarterback in a wheelchair, 40 passes and Jonathan Taylor 10 carries,
Strange.
like I said, yeah, we're not talking about the Colts. That's the 4th time I've mentioned them. They piss me off. So that kind of reviews our smash and pass, some hits, some misses, like most everybody.
Just like every week.
Yeah, just like every week. Spoiler alert, there's going to be some hits and some misses in our week 4 preview.
The big thing is I feel good about our process. It's not like we're just throwing names out there with no reasoning behind it or anything like that.
Right,
We're giving you the reasoning every week. It's not
and the
insane.
main thing too is it's not like it's not also too like we're coming out every week and being like Kyler Murray smash of the week, Patrick
Right.
Mahomes smash of the week. Yeah, I mean, like we're actually trying to give you some guys like that maybe you actually have on your team if you're not wanting to reach for a quarterback in round 2 or a tight end in round 1 or 2. We're trying to give you some guys that might actually be on more rosters than because every week we could come out. Well, I should say every week because this week was not a good example of that. But I was gonna say like every week we can come out and be like Christian McCaffrey match of the week. So yeah. So we'll end our reviews there, and we will now get into our risers, our fallers, and our surprise NFL teams through 3 weeks now. It's pretty decent sample size, not a big sample size, at all, but it's still enough to where you can kind of start to form opinions on teams and stuff like that. But it's still very, very long season. There's still 14 games left. Which sounds crazy, but it sounds like a lot, but it's been going really quick, unfortunately. So
it sounds crazy that we're already 3 weeks in, and it sounds crazy we still have that much time left. Like it's moving too fast already, but
there's still a lot of time.
You're right.
Yeah. So we will get into my riser through 3 weeks is none other than Andrew's favorite team, the Los Angeles Rams. What I knew the team was going to be good. I mean, I never had a doubt that they were going to be a good team at all. I figured they would be in Super Bowl contention. I believe I had them actually in the NFC Championship game when we did our postseason preview.
Get them in the Super Bowl, losing to the Bills.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like I thought, they were going to be, a bad team at all.
Right.
This just further kind of cements that to me, especially going up against a team like Tampa. Now, granted, it was at home, it wasn't in Tampa Bay. So say what you want about home field advantage. I don't think it plays that big of a role in these days. And like over the last 2 years, it's actually, well, I shouldn't say last year, but because obviously there was no home field advantage last year.
Right.
But even the year before that, there's actually been some weird data where away teams are actually winning more games than
I saw that.
So home
it's
field
like
advantage.
Yeah,
exactly. So home field advantage doesn't seem to even exist these days, but some people that do believe in it, say what you want about that. But to me, look, Matthew Stafford changes everything for that team. And like I said, there was never a doubt. We all know me hopping on the podcast, getting excited about the Colts getting Stafford, getting heartbroken when he went to the Rams. And then, of course, too, like it comes out this week, that Stafford was actually looking at homes in the Indianapolis area before he went to the Cabo trip. It ruined everything, that damn trip. Which really, actually, we had a chance to get him, but everybody's favorite GM, Chris Ballard, didn't think it was going to be worth the price, but instead traded a first-round pick for Carson Wentz. So we see how that's working out. But anyway, this is about the damn Rams, all right? This is about the damn Rams. And it just kind of further solidified their stature as an elite team. And to me, through 3 weeks, they have been the most impressive team in the NFL. I think they are right now the best team in the NFL. This changes everything for that team. That Stafford trade does. He is playing at a MVP level. He looks like a franchise stud quarterback. The way that he's manipulating the defense with his movements, his eyes, the way he reads defense and is able to go through his progressions, the way he's able to run out of the pocket and make things happen. Basically, it's the exact opposite of Jared Goff, who basically had to have his hand held through progressions in the offense. And if his first read wasn't there, you were in trouble. From that, and this is me even I like Jared Goff too, but I mean it's a completely different tier of quarterbacking with Stafford. And in all honesty, it was like that even in Detroit. Like I said, if you listen to the podcast, my love for Matthew Stafford. I've always thought he was, to me, him and Derek Carr are the most underrated quarterbacks in the NFL. I think the fact that both of them are having a good year, it makes me feel good. But knowing too that that Matthew Stafford is now in a system with a defense that can get him the ball. And granted, the running game still is a little iffy. And whenever you get in January and February, that's a big part of being able to win is running the ball, but it's a long season. They can make a move. They can get guys more comfortable. The offensive line is playing great. The defensive line, obviously, we already know what that is. The defense in general it looks like it hasn't skipped a beat from last season. It looks fantastic. So yeah, it's, to me, they're the most well-rounded and the best team in football. And I'm really excited for you that you get to root for a team like that. I'm really excited for Matthew Stafford that he finally gets to play with a coach and a team like that as well. Because there's just, there's so many options. Cooper Kupp has looked just unreal. It's like I was watching one of the routes that he put on one of those guys in the red zone the other day.
The one that was like out, in, and back
out.
out.
Yeah. And it was just like, man, like that's top tier,
There was a chart. there was a chart that came out last year, at the end of last year, that was showing receivers like average yards of separation in their routes. And it was one of those things where, like, whenever you just look at the thumbnail of the picture, you're like, where's Cooper Kupp at? But you got to click the picture because he's so far up here in the top corner by himself that he's not in the thumbnail. You know, I mean, he's surgical, man. I mean,
he is, and this is even without, Robert Woods hasn't really been the Robert Woods that we're used to. He hasn't really done too much. We both kind of talked about this being a Deshaun Jackson game, and it turned out to be. I know he missed that touchdown early, but he did get the one late. So I mean, he had the opportunity for multiple scores in this game, getting behind the defense.
I don't get how that dude is still that fast.
Yeah, he's still like, and especially too, like, it's not like he's got like a massive route tree either. Like,
no,
I mean, at his age, like you see Deshaun Jackson on the field, what's coming,
right?
And yet, like, people still can't stop it. And so yeah, it's been really awesome to watch them. So going into the season, I did have Kansas City, and I had the Buccaneers as a better team, but I had the Rams right there in that tier below those two guys. They've, for me, like, definitely they've, especially we'll talk about here in a second, they've definitely leaped Kansas City, and you can't argue that Tampa Bay's better whenever they just came in there and they just beat Tampa Bay up. And what was really awesome to see is not only was surgical quarterback play in that game, but that was a very physical game. Like, both of those defenses, like, extremely physical type of, basically, that was almost playoff, football in that game. I have no doubt that these two teams are going to be meeting again later on in the season.
Yeah, I mean, something that can't go unmentioned is the fact that Tampa already was missing part of their secondary coming into the game to injury, and then they lost another member of their secondary during the game to injury. They didn't have JPP in the game, so this wasn't a fully healthy Tampa Bay defense either. Even with those guys missing, they still have a ton of talent on the defensive side of the ball, but it's
Richard
not
Sherman also.
Right. Yeah, they might be adding Sherman, which I hope they do, and I hope we see him again, and I hope Stafford cooks Sherman, because I still can't stand his ass.
I like Sherman, man.
But I to Tampa's credit, I do think it should be mentioned that they were not 100% healthy on the defensive side of the ball by any means. Still a lot of talent, still a very impressive game that I'm extremely happy to see. But that, I feel like that does need
Antonio Brown also out with COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. Well. Yeah, that's a huge loss for them,
Gronk,
especially.
Gronk got banged up in that game.
Got lit up.
Yeah,
but he came back in the game, man, because he's Gronk. Like,
that guy's
that's a hit that probably takes most tight ends out of the game for the rest of the game, and he with quick trip to the locker room, and he's back in. He's
that Tortorella's a magician, I tell you.
Yeah, right. The thing with this team, man, that has just really surprised me is the fact that Sean McVay is notorious for not touching any of his starters in the preseason. Like, you don't get a second of clock in the preseason if you're projected to be a starter for the Rams. And Stafford, this is obviously his first year with the team. So, week one, play number one, that's the first snap outside of training camp that team has took together. And so I assumed that there would be some growing pains. And to an extent, there's been some plays that were missed that probably aren't missed in week 10. But for the most part, to see this team running as smooth as they have through the first 3 weeks, with it being the only 3 weeks of action that they've had together on a field, outside of camp, has just been mind-blowing to me. Stafford, 9 TDs, 1 interception, 70% completion percentage through 3 games, 130 passer rating. It's only a 3-game sample size, but his average yards per attempt in his career had been 7.1, and through 3 games this year, it's up to 11.5. Touchdown percentage was at 4.5. It's up to over 9.5. Interception percentage was at 2.3. It's down to 1.1, and sack percentage was up at almost 6, and it's down to 3.1. So it's not like, minimal changes either. Like, I know those will regulate as the season goes on, but it's not like there's minimal differences there. Like, it's in terms of percentages, those are huge.
Yeah, sizable differences.
And McVay with Goff had to constantly lean on play action to, to try to fool the defense, to try to give Goff any little bit of advantage he could. Obviously the well-known story about how, McVay would be like just trying to decipher the defense as much as he could for the first 15 seconds of the play clock. Like the Rams were always rushing to the line so that McVay could be in Goff's ear as much as possible, making adjustments prior to the snap. That he just doesn't have. I'm sure he still is, is vocal, but he doesn't have to do that with Stafford anymore. And the play action point that I was making, while play action will still be a part of this offense, McVay doesn't really care as much this year. Like he is just letting this guy rip it. Like Stafford, his rank so far out of an empty formation this year, we're like, play action's out of the question at that point. There's nobody in the backfield with him. He's first in completions, first in yards, second in TDs, first in pass expected points added, and fourth in pressure rate, which credit to the offensive line. They have been awesome through the first 3 weeks, but McVay's just like, screw play action. I don't care if I'm going to throw it because my play calling is better than what you can call against me, and my quarterback is better than any quarterback I've played with. So, here you go, try to stop it. And through 3 weeks, people just haven't been able to. Now, adjustments will be made. I don't expect the rest of the season to be this rosy, all the way through. Stafford will have a hiccup eventually. It's going to happen.
And I know too, like the big knock on him too has always kind of been his ability to like be available. So,
sure.
Yeah, so I mean, the guy does have kind of a lengthy injury history.
Yeah, hopefully he stays healthy.
Sure, for sure.
But the NFC West play is about to start kicking in. So that's
what you guys have Arizona this week.
Yeah.
So, and Arizona's a good team.
They're
a good roster. So, we'll see. But I mean, granted, the way they played, Tampa Bay, there's not a team that this team can't go into any building and beat. So yeah, it's a good time for Rams fans. Fun time, and we'll see if this keeps up. I have the utmost confidence that barring, any kind of injuries, that if this team stays healthy and together, then yeah, I don't have any doubt that this will be normal for the rest of the season. What you've seen so far. And that should be really exciting, not only for just Rams fans, but fans of football as well. To actually now see this is the perfect marriage of coaching and quarterback. I mean,
coaching matters.
Yeah, this is what we say. This is
I don't know how many times we can say.
Yeah, this is what we say all the time. I mean, this is like Kansas City, for example. I mean, it's this is what happens when you have the perfect marriage of a player with a particular skill set that matches the exact thing that the coach wants to do, and it meshes together in a way that is just beautiful to watch on the field, and it translates into a lot of success. And I think you're seeing that in Los Angeles. But conversely, so I'll let you get into your riser as well.
You'd probably think it's the Rams with how much I just talked about them. But look, I've been a Rams fan my whole life, right? I had to go like a decade plus of losing seasons. So, sue me if I'm a little excited. But the riser.
I mean, look, you were just in the Super Bowl like 2 or 3 years ago. So let's hold on a sec. Let's pump the brakes.
Even that team, you can tell that there's just, there's a little bit
Super
different
Bowl
level.
Terrible.
Yeah, it was awful. There's a little bit different level of excitement here. The last few years have been good, much better than the last decade. But so the riser for me was kind of tough this week because most of the teams that I was, impressed with, I was quote unquote rising on, were teams I was already high on at the beginning of the season. So essentially I'm calling this, they are who I thought they were. With 2 teams specifically, the Buffalo Bills and the Green Bay Packers. Buffalo came out in week 1. They looked really rough against the Steelers, but then the last 2 weeks, especially this week against Washington, they absolutely destroyed that defense. And Josh Allen is back to the, potential MVP level type of play that we expected to see from him with his incredible week against Washington this week. And we'll talk about their defense a little bit more later. I got them in one of our sections too. But yeah, so the Bills were a team that, week 1 was kind of iffy, but they are who I thought they were. This is clearly the best team in the AFC East. They're an AFC champion. They very well could be the team that comes out of the AFC in the Super Bowl. And then the Green Bay Packers, I had no idea what to make of them week 1. That Saints game was just like as ugly gets. We mentioned that, Rodgers' quarterback rating would have been higher if he'd have just thrown the ball into the dirt every single play.
But then you got to remember he's still Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. And then this week, week 2 against Detroit, we knew, like, even if they play bad, they're going to beat Detroit. So the measuring stick game for, what are the Packers was going to be this week against the 49ers. And Aaron Rodgers came back out and made so many throws that I don't think any other person on the planet can make.
Yeah, look, say what you want about Patrick Mahomes. And as great as he is, Aaron Rodgers to
Sunday night.
Aaron Rodgers to me is just like, other than maybe Dan Marino, Aaron Rodgers is on such a different level of making certain throws than any other quarterback that's ever played. Even more so than Mahomes. I know Mahomes has the big arm and does the no looks and, the flashy, all that stuff. And he can make, and that's not even taking away anything from Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes makes some incredible throws. Aaron Rodgers makes throws that literally only Aaron Rodgers can make. And that's it. Like,
that was my takeaway after watching this Sunday night game was nuts. Okay, there's the Aaron Rodgers we all know. Like those
was it the MVS?
MVS.
Yeah. That, oh my, like,
there was another one too. I can't remember who it was too, but there were 2 throws that it's literally it's like millimeters that, like, you have to get it just over the defender's hands. But then if it's even a little bit higher than that, then your guy's not going to be able to catch it. It's just like dropping it into this perfect bucket. Yeah, and it's not like a 5-yard. It's not a 5-yard pass either.
Yeah,
like,
and he's not stepping into these throws. I think so. Just real quick, I know this might be a little off topic, but if you haven't watched, and you're going to have to wait just a few weeks to do it. If you have not watched the Manning broadcast on ESPN, the ESPN2, I believe is what it's on.
Yeah.
Monday nights. If you are a pure football fan, you are doing yourself a disservice by not watching that, because the way that those guys, not only is it funny, like, those guys are hilarious.
They're funny guys.
They're so funny, and
they always bring great guests on every
week. Yeah, they have fantastic guests, but the way that, like, those guys, especially Peyton, which as a Colts fan, I've got to enjoy this now.
It's so funny to watch him be generally, like, happy about good quarterback play,
and then he looks
like a disappointed father every time a quarterback does something stupid. Yeah. Like, it just, like, so many times you'll see him just. It's so funny, man. But it's so good.
But the way that he breaks down, these quarterbacks and basically offenses too, like, he'll tell you the defensive coverages and what the offense is designed to do to that specific coverage and what he would do in that scenario. I mean, it's just a fantastic broadcast. And even he brought up, one of these Aaron Rodgers throws where Aaron Rodgers is, off his back foot. He's not able to step into the throw at all.
Right.
And it's just, just one of those, just slings it, just flicks it. And I mean, this ball, 25, 30 yards down the field and just perfect. I mean, you're talking about, like Drew said, like millimeters over the defender and the offensive, guy's shoulder. And I mean, it just literally, like, he couldn't have walked over there and handed that ball off to that guy.
No.
And these aren't bullets either. I mean, it's not, they're
touch passes.
They're not smoking these guys' hands. I mean, it literally looks like a feather dropping out of the sky into the receiver's hands. It is the single most impressive, like, throws that you could watch. And
like Aaron Rodgers said, how can you not get romantic about football? And, like,
I love Aaron Rodgers.
I can't not get romantic about football if I'm watching Aaron Rodgers throw the football, because it is such a beautiful thing to watch. And that's what I needed to see, because week 1 was such a disappointment to me, because I have never seen that Aaron Rodgers. And it wasn't that I was, like, panicking and I thought, oh, this is the Aaron Rodgers we're going to see all year. But I needed a palate cleanser. I needed that. And I was just so happy to see it. So that's it. Essentially my riser was, they are who I thought they were. The Buffalo Bills are that good. Josh Allen is that good. The Green Bay Packers, despite the defensive troubles we knew they would have coming into the season, like, that's
the defense isn't a surprise. Kevin King is out of the game.
Bad.
Eric Stokes steps in, and what do you know? They play better.
Right. So, like, the defense is, again, the defense is what I thought they were, but So is Aaron Rodgers. So that, and then of course the Los Angeles Rams, I don't have to touch on them. I can't be any higher on them. I have them winning the Super Bowl. Okay, we've talked about them enough. But so that essentially my risers were the Bills and the Packers just reclaiming the spot that I already felt like they should have been, but they put the tape out there, to where we can put our hands on it. We can say, here's the proof.
I feel good about these three teams.
Yeah, sure. Like this is what we've been saying all off season, and now here's the film to back that up.
Yeah. So a team that I do not feel good about, and that is the Fallers, is to me, I mean, I wanted to put this as my surprise also, but because it's absolutely shocking to look at, in the standings, but not only the standings, but to actually watch it happen on the field. It has not been good to watch the last couple of weeks. And that is the Kansas City Chiefs. The defense is statistically, I believe they rank 32nd in both passing DVOA and rushing DVOA on defense.
Damn.
Yes, 32nd in both of those, which if you know what DVOA,
I didn't know that.
Yes, it is the single most important, basically, defensive and offensive statistic. It basically, all the stats and the ratings are basically just rolled into one. And that's kind of what you get there. And yeah, they rank 32nd in rush defense and pass defense. So they can't do anything well on defense. Tyreek Hill, once he's blanketed and you just have to focus on Travis Kelce, the other offensive weapons have been non-existent as well. I know they just signed Josh Gordon. I don't think a 30-plus-year-old Josh Gordon, who even when he was playing a few years ago, he's still basically making money off that 2013 season because he has not done anything since. And I don't think that's, I mean, you're looking at.
I want it to be something, man, because I love the guy so much.
You're looking at the name more than you're looking at the actual player, because
it feels like it might be Le'Veon Bell signing with the Chiefs too.
Yeah, it's not the same as it was, and I mean, he's another year older. He's once again another couple years removed from football. Guys don't just pop in after that much time off and after aging, especially at that position, and get better. So I, say what you want about the Josh Gordon thing. I don't think it matters. He's not on my radar.
I hope it ends up mattering, man, because I love Josh
yeah,
Gordon
dude.
so
yeah,
much.
I mean, it would definitely be fun, for sure. As a Patrick Mahomes fantasy owner, I would love it to matter.
Yeah, it's tough to see it happening.
But yeah, so but even then, the rushing offense is not very great. And not necessarily that they can't run the ball, but it's that whenever they do run the ball, they can't hold on to the ball. They're, and it's not just Clyde. I mean, it's everybody. Tyreek fumbled this week.
They had like 4 turnovers, right?
Yeah. They've been turning the ball over. I know Mahomes, had one of those little no-look passes where he threw it just a little too high. Granted, the guy should have caught the ball. It was in his hands.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for not catching that ball. But look, man, like just make a throw. Like, don't quit with the no look shit. Like, just make a fucking throw. Because even if it did hit him in the hands, it was too high. You could have put that on the numbers and there wouldn't have been an issue. But yeah, so Mahomes has looked really good. The offensive line is decent. I mean, those haven't been an issue, but look, at the end of the day, and this is the thing, it's almost the same thing that we've said with Aaron Rodgers for years now, where at the end of the day, you're going to have to help this guy out. You can't keep expecting him to bail you out constantly. And I think I actually said that last week, that Kansas City cannot keep relying on Patrick Mahomes to bail them out of bad football. Because as great as a player as he is, he's not going to be able to do it every single week. And right now, they're 2 games back in their own division, not just from one team, but 2 teams. And now you're clawing your way up to even get into the division and get into the wild card. It's a long season. I don't by any means think the Kansas City Chiefs are out of it, because that would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I don't think they are this dominant, buzzsaw team that everybody has seen over the last couple of years, where, they think that this train's going to keep rolling, because look, if there's one thing that is certain in the NFL is that it stands for not for long. And Brett Veach, as great as some of these other guys, Ladarius Sneed, some of these other guys that he's hit on, he has missed a lot there. Drafting, with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you can point to, some of the linebackers, you have Frank Clark trade. Frank Clark has been completely non-existent for them. Chris Jones is the only presence they have on that defensive line, and that's not even getting into the secondary and the pass, linebacking play and all that stuff. That defense, I mean, not only does the numbers back it up, but it looks like one of the worst defenses in the National Football League. So yeah, until they clean all that stuff up around Mahomes, until they, basically can get back on track, and we don't know the health status of Andy Reid. We know he's stable, he's going to be okay, but I mean, we don't know if he's going to be able to coach this weekend or not, which not having that guy on the sidelines calling plays,
God.
I mean, that is a big, part of why that team is successful, is because of Andy Reid. And I don't even know who they play this week, honestly. And look, the Cleveland game was, the Cleveland game was close too. They are literally just a few plays away from, and basically that Cleveland game was Mahomes, just willing them to a win. They're a few games away from that team looking at 0-3 right now. And
luckily they got the Eagles this week, so they should be able to right the ship for that one.
Yeah, they should be able to get back on track against Philadelphia, which Philadelphia does have a decent defense. And I know it didn't look like it this last week.
Certainly did not.
And I know they're dealing with some injuries there too. Man, you want to talk about some bad luck. But yeah, I mean, it's, to me, they're no longer the favorites to me to come out of the AFC until they get things right, which I have full confidence in Mahomes and Reed and those guys that they will, because it is such a long season. Mm-hmm. But right now it's tough to look at that team and see them going back to the Super Bowl for a third straight year.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I mean, they were my Super Bowl pick at the beginning of the year, and I'm definitely struggling. If you asked me to remake my picks today with what we've seen through 3 weeks, it would be tough to run it back on that aspect. So it's tough to disagree with you, but I like you said, they have a strong coaching staff. They have great leaders on that team. They still have what it is, in my mind, the best quarterback, and in turn, best player, by how most see the players in the league, and Patrick Mahomes. So it's tough.
So Aaron Donald does not play for that team.
Yeah, that's why I had to, that's why I was so slow in getting that out, because most people assume the best quarterback in the league means they're the best player in the league. Wow. I've got different views on that, but he is the best quarterback in the league.
Oh no, with the way Aaron Rodgers has looked the last 2 weeks and last year, I don't know if he's the best quarterback.
Aaron
Rodgers is just dumb, man. Like the stuff that guy does is just dumb.
I would not. I wouldn't hate that argument too much.
I think you're splitting hairs with those guys.
Yeah, you really are. So I do think they'll figure it out. I think that they will climb their way to the top of the division eventually. But because, like you said, it's a long season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. But see, this is the thing, and this is where they're the faller for me, is because now, where going into the season, especially in that division, it was more of a, I think they are clear cut the best team in that division. Mm. I don't think that's clear cut anymore. And say what you want about the Raiders. I know, I'm not really on the Raiders as far as them being the best, but the Chargers.
I was going to say, if you're not picking the Chiefs,
if you're picking the Chiefs, it has to be the Chargers. The Chargers look really, really, really good. Yeah. And if you want to talk about a quarterback too that's ascending into that top 5 elite level, go put on Justin Herbert tape from this last.
He's been outstanding.
Look, just this last game. Just watch this last game if you can, and look at Justin Herbert and some of the throws I mean, wow. Just wow. Is that, and both of us were royally screwed that evaluation up, because that guy looks like, I mean,
So I tried to ride the ship a little bit by picking the Chargers to make the playoffs this year, but I had them as like my 7th seed. So,
I mean, I don't think you can even argue that Kansas City is even the clear-cut favorite in the division right now, with the way the Chargers look, and how bad that defense has been for Kansas City. I think that's what it all falls down to. If they can even be average, I think Kansas City can get back to the Super Bowl no issue.
Yeah.
All they have to do is be average, but they can't be.
You're not going to the Super Bowl with a team that's the bottom.
You can't be 32nd. Yeah, you can't be 32nd.
Doesn't matter how good your quarterback is.
Yeah, exactly. They, as great as quarterbacks are, they can, they're only as good as the teams around them, or, if you're playing for Adam Gase, the coach around you. So that is our weekly Adam Gase shot, for the podcast. We'll take a drink to that.
Thank God we don't have him in the league anymore. So my faller is also an AFC team. And this week I went with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this is a team.
I wanted to pick them.
This is a team I didn't even have in the playoffs either. But they were a borderline playoff team for me. Like they were a team, of the teams I was choosing for the 6th and 7th seed. They were in the mix, but they were one of the ones that ended up falling out. But I thought that they were the clear 3rd best team in the AFC North. I thought that they were a team that could push for a playoff spot. And look, I knew Big Ben was old. I knew the offensive line was going to be bad.
Oof.
But holy shit, Big Ben is awful. The offensive line is awful. Like Big Ben is like, he could retire tomorrow type of washed. Like,
yeah, it's like watching Drew Brees last season.
Wow, man. Like, and it's not all his fault. Some of it is the pressure that he's dealing with and things like that. But you knew that was going to be a problem coming into the season. Like, that there's worries that each team in the offseason, there's worries that each team is going to have, and you hope that there ends up being other worries and they address those. But like this team's concern is the concern that you knew was coming.
I saw a post today that was it was incredible to me. And they were actually talking about the Steelers. It said drafting a running back in the 1st round while ignoring your offensive line is like buying a sports car and driving it on a road full of potholes. And it's just that's exactly what it's like. It's you get this luxury, you take this, beautiful luxury, that you're paying a premium price for, and you're just shitting all over it.
And Najee Harris, I mean, they are trying their best to get their money's worth out of him, man. I mean, that dude. Golly, man, he had a better pass catching week than most receivers did this week, and on top of his, his running game. But it's not going anywhere because there's no space anywhere. Like it's.
Yeah, he's by far. I believe he's been hit behind the line of scrimmage. Like, I want to say, like, his average depth of contact is like 3 yards, almost. Like, it's almost 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage whenever he encounters this first defender. And that is wild.
That's like snapping the ball, getting the ball, and then bam. As soon as the ball touches your hands, bam, there's somebody.
And you can tell how elite he is, just the fact that he's able to get any positive yards at all during the game. Like, what a great player, what an elite type of talent. But I mean,
it doesn't matter.
I would love to see him in Los Angeles or Buffalo, or
God, imagine Najee Harris being a workhorse for the Rams in this offense,
or even Buffalo. Like,
the Bills
being in the Bills offense. I mean, there's like, those are the teams.
Which places with Najee Harris and Aaron Jones? Like,
yeah, I mean, those are the teams that can afford to take a premium pick on a running back because all of their other issues are solved. They have good offense. I mean, maybe not. Well, Los Angeles has an elite offensive line. The Bills have a really good offensive line. The Packers, they're dealing with injuries, but once they get
win healthy,
win healthy, that is a absolutely elite offensive line. Great quarterbacks, decent weapons. I mean, those are the type of, guys that they can afford to take that pick. Whenever you have a team that you have an old, bad quarterback who's not mobile and is very inaccurate to begin with,
The defense was great, but the offensive line was such an incredibly obvious, glaring need. How do you draft a running back whenever the people that are supposed to block for him are that bad? And it's obvious to everybody else in the world that they're that bad.
Even if you wanted to take a running back, you could have at least tried in free agency to shore up, that offensive line more than what they did. Because they didn't do anything. Like they just let it roll. And now they're going to pay the price for it because they really do like that. If you want to watch tape on how not to play offensive football, you could throw on any Steelers game from this season.
Yeah.
And it's
because even their win against Buffalo was because of how great the defense was. And that's kind of, so it's tough to have a team that I had finishing third in their division as a faller for me through 3 weeks, but it's because even as talented as the defense is, I'm not completely convinced that they're the third best team in this division anymore, which I think is a perfect segue into your surprise team of the week, who might end up being the third best team in this division. So I'll just let you take it from here.
Yeah, and that is, of course, another AFC North team, and that is the Cincinnati Bengals. I thought for certain that this would be not only one of the worst teams in the AFC North, I thought this would be one of the worst teams in the NFL, similar to the Raiders. And, granted, as much as I love Jamar Chase, I know our love for Jamar Chase as a player on this podcast was well documented. I did disagree with drafting him over Penei Sewell. I thought they needed to shore that offensive line. And
I saw a tweet. It was on Bleacher Report that said, through 3 weeks, Jamar Chase 5 touchdowns, Penei Sewell 0 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's just,
he's not scored a touchdown. He is also not giving up a sack.
That was just really funny to me. But anyway, go ahead.
The offensive line does not look like an issue at all right now. You could say, the defense still has, some issues with it, but Joe Burrow has looked absolutely incredible coming back from that injury. Behind what we thought would be a shaky offensive line, it has not been shaky. Now it still could use improvement. And I do believe that, that will get shored up eventually, but Jamar Chase,
it's still average at best, but it's not.
Jamar Chase looks absolutely incredible. Tyler Boyd's such a weapon. Once T. Higgins gets back healthy.
Remember whenever Jamar Chase was going to be a bust because he couldn't catch anything in the preseason?
Yeah.
That was fun.
He couldn't see the white stripes on the ball.
Them stripes are clear as he got clear eyes in his eyes or something.
It's almost like Justin Jefferson being behind BC Johnson last season in the offseason.
Right.
Who's going to be the wide receiver 3 behind BC.
Just trust the talent, guys.
Yeah, that's what it all boils down to. And we both love Jamar Chase on this podcast. So
100%.
Yeah, and that's looking really good. Now I did think they should have went with Sewell, but hey, if it's working, it's working. And Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow are definitely working right now. Chemistry looks great. Joe Burrow looks absolutely fantastic. He looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And this is only his second season after a very, very short rookie year. So we just hope that they stay healthy. We hope that offensive line can continue to protect him. And I think if they can, they're going to surprise a lot of people. I still don't think they're a playoff team this year, but I think the arrow is pointing a lot higher up than it was at the beginning of the season. I think there's been a lot of things that you can point to and say, you know what, they can work with this, and they can build a really good roster with this. So yeah, it's extremely good for Cincinnati fans. Now, the biggest knock on the Browns have always been the ownership and their unwillingness to spend money on winning football. They would much rather try to take a profit. And if you've been to the stadium, you can tell because that stadium is falling apart. It looks absolutely awful. But
how many first round playoff exits in a row did the Bengals have? I mean, in that run where they were making it,
the biggest knock on them has always been ownership's refusal to spend money. They would just
every year was just like, go get a couple players, and y'all are there, like a couple players.
And they don't. So I'm interested to see. now that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, and they have this exciting offense, if they're just, going to want to keep, the exciting offense to keep butts in seats, or if they're actually going to go to try and build a winning, culture and a winning team. And I have a feeling with Joe Burrow there, he's going to demand excellence out of
Please
that.
don't screw this man up.
Yeah. Because that guy is such a leader, not only off the field, but I mean, like on the field. I mean, he is, he's just one of those guys that you draft him first overall, not only because of how talented he is and how good of a quarterback he is, but because of his ability to basically change a franchise's direction, because he demands it. I mean, it's very similar to the Colts with Peyton Manning. The Colts were the laughing stock of the NFL before they drafted Manning, and here you go, rookie quarterback from Tennessee coming in here, and this guy demanded excellence every week. And we see what that turned into. But even then, we had an owner that was willing would do whatever it takes to win. No cost was too high for Jim Irsay. So I just hope that the ownership there realizes what they do have in Joe Burrow, and they're able to build a winning culture, because that fan base too, they deserve a winning team.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And it would be a disservice to Burrow for them not to, do what they can to surround him with the team to win. I mean, you took a quarterback number 1 overall. You already, due to the lack of team building prior to drafting him number 1 overall, that cost him his injury. I mean, that the offensive line being as bad as it was, the hits that he took that finally did him in, like that's on the franchise already. Like that's on the Bengals, the injury he's already had to deal with. And now he's come back off that disgusting injury looking as great as he has. Like
Maybe better.
You guys should be selling your soul to do what you can to surround this guy with talent on the offensive and defensive side of the ball to protect him, to make something happen. Because I really hope the Bengals don't screw this up, because Burrow's a great player.
Like players these days, they're not as forgiving, as these guys in the past.
It's a very pro player mentality.
Right. They're not just gonna sit there like Matt Stafford did for 13 years and just constantly get beat down and beat down and beat down. I mean, you're talking about you need to do everything you can in the 5 years that you have Joe Burrow locked up in that contract to prove to him that you're willing to put a roster and a winning product around him, or else
you can franchise tag him if you want to, but eventually or else have to let him go.
Yeah, or else the Saints back down in Louisiana, they're looking good to Joe Burrow, because we know Sean Payton and them boys will do what they can. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's not a rumor. I'm just talking shit. But so yeah, let's get into your surprise. I'm excited to hear this, because it's a negative surprise, and
it is.
It's anything I love more than a positive surprise. It's a negative surprise.
Yeah, and it's very one side of the ball too. So my surprise is the Washington football team, and I'm looking at you, defense. I didn't have this team winning the division. I didn't have them making the playoffs, but I did have this defense being a top 5 defense coming into the year, maybe even top 3. Like I was really high on the defense side of the ball. My concerns were with the offense, the lack of consistency from Ryan Fitzmagic. That type of thing was my issue into buying into Washington. I did not think the issue would be the defensive side of the ball. And through 3 weeks, that is an issue. Now, week 1, it was Justin Herbert. Week 1 is weird. They were playing a team that I was high on in the Chargers coming into the year. So it was, a team I'm high on versus a team that I wasn't as high on as most. So it's just kind of chalk that up to week 1. But then week 2, they make Daniel Jones look awesome. And look, if you make Daniel Jones look awesome as low as I am on Daniel Jones, now I'm worried. And then week 3.
Made my week 3 pick look terrible.
Right. And then Week 3, Josh Allen comes out and completes almost 75% of his passes, almost 400 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, another touchdown on the ground, and just demolishes this defense. I mean, puts them in the dirt. And they're 31st in the league in yards per game. That's not the bottom, but they're not very far from the bottom. And you can blame the offense a little bit. They're not staying on the field very often. The time of possession is heavily in the opponent's favor, which means the defense is spending a lot of time on the field. But the defense isn't doing the offense any favors either. They are currently on pace to smash the record for allowing the highest percentage of third down conversions in NFL history. Like that, I think they're like 20 plus percentage points higher than the NFL record for that. I don't remember the exact numbers. I know I saw on Bleacher Report that Matthew Berry had quoted a tweet that had the numbers on there, but it's bad. I mean, it's really bad. So, the offense isn't doing them any favors, but the defense isn't helping out the offense either by getting off the field. The teams are just routinely converting third downs, and this defense that I thought was going to be one of the best in the league has not fit the bill whatsoever to even being close to one of the best in the league. They've been one of the worst in the league, and this was not something that I saw coming at all. I wasn't high on Washington, but it was not because of the defense. So my negative surprise this week has absolutely been the Washington defense specifically. I don't Chase Young, I still think he's an incredible player, and they've got plenty of time to right the ship on defense. But man, have they looked terrible through 3 weeks, and I don't know what to do with it. So yeah, that's my surprise for week 3.
Yeah, that's tough to argue. I've actually seen some. I mean, and you know how fans are; they overreact. But I've actually seen a lot of Washington fans calling Chase Young a bust.
Oh no, God,
and
he's
like,
fine.
If they want to trade him over to the Colts, just go right ahead. So
yeah,
we could ruin it.
We could in LA too.
We could ruin another generation of talent. Speaking of, this is the last Colts thing that I will say for the podcast. Do you know, as of right now, which I shouldn't even ask a question because you already know the answer because I just prefaced it.
Right.
So right now, the Colts, 2021 Indianapolis Colts, have the worst red zone offense in NFL history.
Look,
3 games.
I mean, I got to watch a decent amount of the game against the Titans. I watched all of the red zone offense against the Rams week 2, where I was there in person. Watching the week 2 performance, I'm not shocked at all. Not at all.
Yeah, the word like in history, not like this year.
Right. Ever. It was
now,
ugly, man. Week 2 was ugly.
Yeah,
in the red
then,
zone.
Losing Quentin Nelson this week too. I mean, it ain't gonna get better. He's on, your quarterback is on. Look, we're not gonna get into it. It's just
he was limping all over the field.
It looked awful. I actually got, because I missed it live, so I got to go back yesterday and rewatch it last night some, and throughout the day today, I finally caught the whole game. And
I'm really impressed that you're still here today after taking the time to watch that game back as a Colts fan. I commend you for making it to the podcast today.
Yeah, look, say what you want. Like, I'm a glutton for punishment.
Like, you knew it was going to be ugly, and you still chose to rewatch it.
Yeah, because I wanted to see what worked. I want to see what went wrong. Frank Reich, whatever. I don't know who has possessed him, and I don't know if it was the Monstars that took his talent, or who knows. I don't know what's going on there. There's been just questionable play calls.
That's weird, man.
The defense too. Like, I don't think the defense is bad. Like, I mean, I don't think they're good. I think they're just average. Like, I think they're not awful. They're not good by any means. But one thing they do is they create turnovers, and they've created like every week they've created turnovers.
The only Stafford interception this year came from Indianapolis Colts.
Ryan Tannehill did not look good against them. I mean, we got 3 turnovers, and you still lose by multiple possessions. That's damn near impossible to do. Yeah. And I know their biggest issue right now is coaching, and their biggest issue is injuries. I don't know what they think they're going to gain in such a long season by rolling all of these guys out there at, me saying 70% is being generous. because even if you look at that Darius Leonard interception yesterday, whenever he was running after the interception, I mean, it's clear. Like the guy looked like he was moving through quicksand. Like, you're doing these, not only the players a disservice, you're doing your team a disservice. You're doing the fans a disservice by putting these guys out there to possibly risk further injury, but for sure, they're not able to play at the level that you need to play at to win football games. And it's an organizational failure from top to bottom.
The biggest head scratcher came this week for me whenever, like, it was a miracle Wentz was out there in the first place, but so he's out there, that he's out there, but he's hobbled, and then you give your star running back
whenever your quarterback looks, whenever your starting quarterback looks not even as mobile as Phillip Rivers did last year, you have an issue.
Like, I don't know a lick about preparing an offensive game plan compared to what Frank Reich knows, but I can promise you I would have had more than 10 carries lined out for Jonathan Taylor last week. That was so odd.
Naheem Hines too. Like it's like he doesn't know how to use both of those guys. Like
it's got to be one or the other.
Yeah, it's one or the other. And if Hines isn't on the field, Taylor is. If Taylor isn't on the field, Hines is. You're talking about two of your three best offensive players.
Yeah, take out Michael Pittman.
Who, by the way, target hog Michael Pittman.
He looks awesome.
I told you going into the season, like that guy is going, because they don't have anybody else. They refuse to add it. I don't know. Paris Campbell, you've preached all offseason about how great of a player he is and how talented
he at?
Is. Yeah, you've thrown the ball twice in 3 weeks.
Why is he lining up outside so much? Like, he doesn't strike me as an outside guy.
I know they want to play Zach Pascal in the slot, and the production's there for Pascal too. It's hard to argue.
Yeah. Pascal is just that guy that just if you want to bank on somebody to catch a touchdown, I'm going to put my money on Pascal every week, and I'll probably be right more often than not.
But too, Mo Alley Cox is 6'6", Jack Doyle 6'5", Michael Pittman 6'4", Zach Pascal 6'1" or 6'2". I mean, they have these Mike Strawn.
Paris Campbell should not be on the outside.
Yeah, Michael Strawn is 6'5", who is a healthy scratch yesterday. They have these massive, massive weapons, like, to use in the red zone, and yet they're running tight end screens and
put Paris Campbell in the slot, give him the ball with space in front of him and let him do something. Like, why are you lining him up? I don't know.
I don't know.
I was never even extremely high on Campbell in the first place, but even like as somebody that wasn't a Campbell truth or anything, I'm sitting here watching his usage. Like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I don't think the worst thing to have as a football team is to have no identity. And
very true.
The Colts' identity has been their offensive line, their defensive line, and we're going to run the ball down your throat. And I don't know if it's Frank Reich trying to prove to everybody that Carson Wentz is not what he was last year. What's funny to me too is Jim Irsay actually came out yesterday, or a couple of days ago, and said basically just said, if you're not available, we can't count on you, and there needs to be a contingency plan. This is not even getting into the backup situation, which has been totally mishandled. You go all offseason with Jacob Eason getting all the snaps and getting told, Jacob Eason's the backup. He's the backup. He's the backup. Going through all preseason, with Wentz out, he's getting the preseason looks, all that. Then it comes game time, whenever you have a quarterback that can't move, and you're bringing Brett Hundley up from the practice squad to be your backup quarterback, who has gotten almost zero work all offseason with the ones. And that's going to be your backup. Like, if you were that worried about Jacob Eason with a quarterback who is known to have the injury history Carson Wentz has, and you don't bring in a veteran, that's just a failure. That's an organizational failure. And I'm done with this soapbox until they prove to me that, which luckily we get the Dolphins this week. Now, once again, Quentin
If Jacoby
Nelson.
Brissett comes in and beats y'all,
It's full panic. It is
it's
full
full
panic.
riot mode at that point for
Yeah.
Colts fans. Like I wouldn't blame y'all at all if y'all went and burnt Lucas Oil down. Like,
yeah, we cannot lose to Jacoby Brissett. I mean, we can, because if we play football the way we play,
it's within the range of outcomes,
yeah,
but
if we
God, it
play,
cannot happen.
and look, I mean, they came back in that game yesterday. They had a chance to win that game.
Yeah.
But look, it's if they play football the way they played the last 3 weeks, which is bad situational football, bad offensive football, bad defensive football, they don't look like they give a shit. You got injured guys out there. You know, if they're not able to play, don't play them. Don't play them, because all you're doing is you're hurting them. You're hurting the team. You're just trying to put butts in seats to sell tickets. But I mean, oh, Carson Wentz is playing this week. Well, no, like fucking Carson Wentz can't walk 2 yards without grimacing. So yeah, it's a disaster. So yeah, this and look, after this game, you've got, I believe we've got the Ravens after this week on Monday night, and then there's another. Who do we play even after this? So we've got the Ravens, then we have the Texans, then the 49ers, then the Titans again. So you're looking at, if they don't,
Christ.
yeah. So I mean, if you don't beat or you don't beat the Dolphins this week, you're looking at maybe beating the Texans, because that's not a given at this point. And I mean, it's very realistic. You're going in to, what is that? You're going into week 9 looking at 1-7. And yeah, that's no bueno, man. That's no bueno. But
hey, on a positive note though, there's a picture, there's a wonderful picture that is on the Bleacher. I'm not on Twitter, but it's on Bleacher Report. The St. Louis Cardinals Twitter account. Twitter says what the shirt says with a down arrow, and it's Wayno with just this like nice little smirk on his face, wearing a T-shirt that says "Built for October." And now I got to get online and figure out where that T-shirt's at, because that just makes my heart so happy. So I know as a Colts fan, you're in a rough spot right now through the first 2 weeks of the year. I know you had high hopes for this season. So I had kind of planned on, devoting the last part of this week's pod to letting you kind of just get your anger out, because you deserve that with what you've had to deal with. Like, look, we've got a platform, no matter how many people are or are not listening. This is our mental health exercise, is getting to be able to get this stuff out. So, you needed that. I'm glad you have a place to where we can talk it out and do that. But there are positive outlets out there for you too. So, if you've got the Bleacher Report app, just go pull up the Cardinals page on the Bleacher Report app and just scroll, because it's just a bunch of beautiful stuff right now.
Yeah, and I did really well in fantasy this week too. I won all but one league.
There you go.
And even the league I didn't win was the Cardinals, the all Cardinals league, because they had a kind of a rough outing there. But yeah, all my other fantasy matchups, I've been, I think 6 leagues. So I went 5-1 in fantasy this week. Cardinals are 17 in a row in the playoffs. My mom's team, my second favorite team, the Green Bay Packers. Packers looking good. Yeah, Packers looking good again.
Derek Gold tweeted out a picture of he does a great job covering the Cardinals for the Post-Dispatch. He tweeted out a picture of Arenado on the big screen at Busch in the locker room, popping some bubbly in the locker room. So just looking happy as can be. So yeah, good for him, man. He's dealt with a lot of struggles to for the team to come together and play the way he did, and then for him to play the way he did in the clincher tonight. A lot of good stuff going on right now, man. So, I know the Colts got you down, but there's a lot of other stuff to be happy about. So,
yeah. Hey, look, DeAndre Swift, top 3 running back in football. I mean,
right.
DeAndre Swift. Granted, I had Antonio Gibson finishing in the top 2, not DeAndre Swift, but I did have, look, I've been talking some shit about DeAndre Swift being an RB1. If DeAndre Swift had not rushed a single rush this season, he would still be RB13 on the year based on his passing work. So, and then that's with splitting time with Jamal Williams too. So imagine if he gets a full-time role. he might be, to the moon. I mean, we're talking about Christian McCaffrey territory there.
And just one more thing: the Cardinals won their 17th in a row to clinch the wild card berth, and Adam Wainwright won his 17th game of the season in his, he's 40 years old, 17 game winner. Like,
what a year!
Give the man his flowers while he's still here, because that guy is a Cardinal legend. He's absolutely incredible.
I know we were talking about. We texted earlier in the week too, and we were like, yeah, just wait till next year whenever that like Gorman comes up and they get Scherzer and Trevor Story.
$50 million coming off payroll. Yeah. This is just the beginning, man.
Oh yeah.
Enjoy it at the top while you can, Milwaukee, because the Central isn't yours for much longer.
No, after the off season, it's I have a feeling we're going to be pretty hyped going.
Mo's caught a lot of shit over the years, but he has made some really strategical moves to put this team in a position to win this year when nobody thought they would. And then they're going to be in a very favorable monetary situation this offseason with a lot of talented players in the free agency market. So,
and a lot of talented players too. And, getting ready. Coming up. So this could be very, very interesting really quick. I have a feeling.
I know we talk a lot of football, but fuck, I love baseball, man. And this is so much fun right now. Like,
you got football and baseball and fantasy, and like you got the whole trifecta of everything working for you.
Kentucky football is even playing well. Like,
UK football. What's going on there?
If they beat Florida this weekend, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to be like the ultimate sports orgasm for me. Like,
they better play a little bit better than they played the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, no shit. But it's sports, man. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, we're both so just entrenched into sports.
Which is funny too, because like your wife and my fiance. We're talking about it because we
literally bumped into each other.
Yeah, we ran into each other the other day, and they were just talking about like it's just how ridiculous how it is. Like if something bad happens,
upset we get about
how upset they're just like it'll ruin his day if something bad happens in a football game, and it's like the whole day is just like,
look, you're not wrong, all right?
You're not wrong. All right. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like whenever you put the time that we put into, especially too, like. Because since we've been doing this podcast too, man, like we do our own rankings, we do our own mock drafts, we put time into this stuff.
Yeah.
We especially, I know like it gets on her nerves, and I don't know how much of a film junkie you are, but like even like what she said the other day, like even in the off season, she's like, that's all he does is just watch. Like that's what I do for fun is I literally will watch.
There's no such thing as an off season. You can call it the off season if you want, but
I will literally watch games. I'm just a film junkie. Like I love watching film, especially whenever Game Pass gets its shit together and gets the all 22 back, because Game Pass is a fucking shit show. Don't ever pay for that right now if you don't have to. But yeah, dude, I love coaches film. I love the all 22 film. I will sit there and just like crack, just absorb it.
If there was some type of site where Peyton Manning and Tom Brady could sit down and dissect every game all year and just like talk about everything that happens for every game for the year, there's no amount of money that I would not pay.
Yeah, well,
to get access to that.
Even then, like Aaron Rodgers, like whenever Aaron Rodgers was on Pat McAfee, like.
Oh yeah, that Tuesday episode every week is tuned in. Every single Tuesday. Fantastic. I'm tuned in. Yeah.
Yeah, but man, the Manning broadcast, like it sucks that now, like because they only signed on for 10 episodes this season, ESPN needs to give them whatever money they want to make sure that they're not out for the next fight, because they're going to miss the Colts Baltimore Monday night game, and I'm kind of bummed because I really wanted Peyton Manning to cover a Colts game
and throw them on ESPN. Put the fucking regular broadcast on ESPN too, because it's not. If you're still watching
the regular broadcast and you're a football fan,
I feel bad for you.
Yeah, you are missing out, because those, like, not only are they funny, they're engaging, and it literally feels like they're just sitting in your living room and y'all are just watching the game, and you have Peyton.
Because they're basically just sitting in their living room.
That's what they're doing.
Watching it and talking about it. Yeah, like it's so good.
Yeah, and they're breaking it down, and it's just, I got I feel lucky because I got to experience like Peyton Manning doing stuff like this with the Colts media for years while he was here. Like they would break down stuff and like he would, they would go in and show you different stuff, which I mean, he never did a ton while he played, but he's done it for the Colts media, especially since he's retired, especially with us and Denver. And it's been a blessing, but yeah, just it's just fantastic to watch, and I'm so excited. It's taken off, and wrestling's getting good again. Like Sting wrestled the other night, like that was fucking dope. Like CM Punk's back, Daniel Bryan's like wrestling's cool again. I mean, maybe not cool like it was back when we were like middle school.
It'll never be Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, it'll never be like because at that point in time it was like if you came to the school on a Tuesday and you didn't know what happened on Monday Night Raw, everybody made fun of you. Like,
right.
Yeah, like everybody was talking about what Stone Cold and Vince McMahon did, and like if you were the kid that was on the outside of that, like you were an outcast.
Yeah, like if your parents didn't let you watch wrestling, man, you better figure a way to sneak that shit out because you got to be able to talk about it on Tuesday.
Exactly. And so yeah, but it's kind of getting back to that like WCW versus Raw level now that AEW's back. So I mean, like it's been really kind of cool to watch the growth of that company and like where they are now compared to where they were like a couple years ago, like a couple summers ago. It is wild. But yeah, I mean, like, there's still so much cool stuff out there. Like video games are getting, crazier and crazy. Like I just finished a game the other day we were playing. It was called Kenna Bridge of Spirits. It's a PS5 exclusive. And dude, it is literally like you are playing a Pixar movie. Like that's what, because the guy that did the game, like his dad worked for Pixar, I believe, for like years. And they took that animation style, and you can't tell a difference between gameplay and the cutscenes. So it's literally like you're going through an entire Pixar movie. And it's kind of like Pixar movie meets God of War. So it's like Disney's God of War Pixar. But yeah, it was so fun. It was so cool, really engaging. There's some other really good games coming out here recently too.
Halo's right around the corner, man.
Yeah, exactly. I just watched
their second beta was this weekend. I believe the final beta is next weekend before the actual
I watched
game
Series
comes
X gameplay today, actually this morning. So I've got the Xbox fired up, ready to get that going.
Call of Duty Vanguard, going back to World War II. I mean, that's where I live, is the shooters. So that's kind of my space in terms of gaming. Now that 2K and Madden are completely unplayable. Yeah, it used to be shooters in 2K Madden, and then 2K Madden just got completely swiped from the playlist.
Yeah, which I mean, like 2K, like as my interest in basketballs kind of went way downhill, like I don't really care enough about the NBA to buy 2K to know if it's even good or not. But as much as I love football, like
Madden's a joke.
Yeah, I refuse to give Madden.
It's an absolute joke, and they are making a joke out of the Madden faithful.
Yeah, the people that buy it every year, like and I've said it to people's faces too, like my boy Ray, like
You're part of the problem.
Jimmy, y'all are the issue, like because y'all ain't just buying the regular $60 Madden either, like y'all are getting the
deluxe pack,
deluxe edition,
paying all this money on MUT for the ultimate team shit for the same old garbage ass game. You're literally paying $90+ a year for updated rosters.
It's not even, and then it's not even that. Like, it's not even updated rosters because they can't even get half the motherfuckers face scanned in the game. Like they literally don't even you're not even paying for full rosters.
Like you got the right name and you got the right number,
and then that's it. Like that's all you got.
They got like 400D graphics, but the faces still look screwed up because
they don't even have that on next gen. Like this next gen gameplay, like I remember I played. Well, I guess it was last year's because I haven't played this year, but I played. No, it was this year's because I did the trial version. And to let you know how bad it is too, like, so we got a 10 hour free trial
Mm-hmm.
on Game Pass.
Yep.
And I have the new Xbox too. Like, so I've got a PS5. Also got the Series S Xbox. And I was in here, I did the free trial. I played 2 hours of it. I had 8 hours left of the trial and I deleted it off. I didn't even play the 10 hours for free. They couldn't even give me free. But Emily came in here and she said it looked like a PS2 game. She's like, this looks like one of like the older football games. Like, and this is on next gen consoles. And whenever you whenever you go from a game like, you know, Call of Duty or like this Kenna Bridge of Spirits I just played, or, you know, where you can't tell the difference between cut scenes and gameplay and everything just looks so crisp and it's gorgeous. Like, for lack of better words, it's just gorgeous. And you go to a game like Madden, like it just pisses you off that people are spending money for it, man. It's such a shit product.
I haven't, ever since I really got like wrapped into the competitive shooters and multiplayer shooters and stuff, it really took me out of the whole like story mode space and things like that. I have no problem with people that enjoy that, because I whenever I did enjoy it, I enjoyed it a lot too. And there's still some games I'll play the campaign and things like that. But I had for so long just gotten wrapped into basically competitive shooters and sports games, and sports games are basically out of the question now. So like I'm just, you know, I'm still playing Fortnite. Warzone is almost unplayable right now. The Call of Duty battle royale, just because of all the hacking issues and things like that. But you know, they got the new Call of Duty coming back. A lot of people don't like it. I've always been a big fan of the World War II setting for Call of Duty.
I've always liked that.
A lot of people don't like it, but I love it, man.
Which I liked Battlefield more than I liked Call of Duty.
The new Battlefield looks interesting too. Yeah. But you know, Call of Duty's going back to World War II with Vanguard, so that's going to be interesting. Halo, I've always loved Halo, and so you know, the multiplayer that I've seen from that so far looks really fun.
I rank on Halo. Like,
so
that's the only competitive shooter I've ever really gotten competitive about. And I mean, I'm talking about like I put in hours and hours and hours, like hundreds of hours into playing Halo when I was in college. And we actually played competitive like tournaments, and we were very, very good.
My gaming life, going all the way back to whenever I was like 16 years old, can be summed up with Gears of War, Call of Duty, Halo, and now Fortnite. Like those 4 games can basically summarize the last 14 years of my gaming life. So I'm ecstatic for this new Halo and the new Call of Duty and things like that.
I've been so out of shooters for so long that like it's going to take me like probably a few months, honestly, to get back to like being comfortable to where I am, or to where like I was. I don't know if I'll ever get back to where I was with them, just because I haven't played them for so long. But
we don't have the time to put into it that we did when we were teenagers.
When I was in college, when I had just, you know, 60 credit hours, you know, a semester. I mean, you're literally going to class. I would get done. I would go in at 8 a.m. Like my last class would be at like 1 o'clock. And then I would, you know, like soccer stuff and like all that kind of stuff. But I mean, outside of that, you know, literally all we did was like party and play Halo. And like that was it. And like that's, which to be completely honest, like I've got plenty of time now, because I mean it's a little bit different for me compared to most guys that are my age, you know, in their early 30s and stuff. Like I don't have kids, so once I get off of work, like it's just me and my fiance, and we'll watch something together. Like she'll do whatever she wants to do. I'll come in here, like I've got this room where it's literally just gaming and football. Like I could literally get off, you know, I get off work at 4 o'clock. Like I could literally spend the next 6 hours playing video. Like I could do whatever I want to do. So I mean, it's a little bit different. It's like I don't have like a family or anything like that I have to provide for outside of my, you know, fiance. But But yeah, it's interesting. I'm actually kind of glad we kind of got off topic of football. I know because we've
It's been refreshing, man.
yeah, because we've preached for so long where it's like this isn't just a football podcast. We have other interests too, and like literally it's all just football.
But is it only a football podcast? Because that's all we talk about.
Exactly. So yeah, this is a little thing. Yeah, I mean we got bourbon up there too. Like if y'all like bourbon, I got
Yeah, I mean
nice,
my glass is empty now because
got,
we're
yeah,
kind of deep into the
yeah, so
episode. But
we got schlafly and ale. It's time for the fall deers to kick out in this 90-degree weather.
right.
So yeah, I just started a new TV show today. Been watching that. Heels on Stars. I don't know.
I just finished up Outer Banks. I'm still looking
Oh,
for.
Outer Banks is fire.
It was dope, man. Yeah, we finished up Manifest. We finished up Outer Banks.
Do you watch any of those like Netflix, like those game shows they have on Netflix?
I didn't even know Netflix had game shows.
Oh my gosh. Oh dude. Okay. So do you and Stephanie watch stuff like that together?
With that's all we watch is Netflix together.
Oh,
Netflix and Hulu and stuff. Yeah.
All right. Y'all need to watch The Circle on Netflix.
I've seen that on there. We haven't watched it, but I've seen it on there. It just looks so ridiculous, man.
Yeah, dude, me and Emily, like season 1, we got full addicted to, like full on it, like addicted to like that show. Season 2 was really good. Season 3 is not the same because you get so like into the cast, like you have like favorite cast members. And once the season's over, you have new cast members, and you're like, oh well, this dude's not as funny as like the dude last season. So like fuck this guy. Yeah, man, like and like I hate shit like that. Like I hate shows like that. I don't do The Bachelor. I don't do none of that. Like no, I'm full off on anything reality TV wise. I don't know what it is about that damn show. It is so damn good. Like it's just insane to watch. It's like these people, and they can either play themselves or a catfish, but they stay in this one apartment room in this apartment, and they're basically playing, like I said, either as themselves or as somebody else in this game. And they like nobody knows who's real or not. And they're just messaging back and forth. They're playing back and forth. They vote each other on and off. And it's just, I don't know why it's just so damn it is. But yeah. And if you want something just to like kill a weekend, or like you're just like, I don't even know what to watch. Like I want to put something on and not use your brain. Like watch The Circle. Like it's really entertaining. I'm trying to think of what else we've been watching on there. I know too, it's kind of goofy. Like I watch anime every now and then too. Like I've watched anime since Dragon Ball Z, since I was a kid.
Yeah, that's something, man, that I've been in the space for it. Like my friends have enjoyed it whenever I was younger. Yeah. I'm in the gaming space now where a lot of people I'm around enjoy it. It's something that I don't knock people for liking it, but it's something I've never really been able to get into. Dragon Ball Z.
It's really it's hit or miss. Like there's a bunch of them that like I can't watch, but then there's some that are actually really entertaining that it just kind of reminds me of childhood.
Yeah, even a lot of the streamers that I watch religiously in terms of the games that I like, and whenever I'm not playing, I like to tune into the streamers on Twitch or YouTube and watch them play. They talk about anime all the time too, and it's just, hey, I mean, if you like it, tip my cap to you, but I've just never really been like Naruto is one that I hear about all the time.
Yeah, dude, I love Naruto. Like
never been able to get into it. I haven't tried. Like one of the streamers I watch all the time talks about it. It's his favorite anime of all time. So
dude, it's fire. It starts out slow. That's the thing, is like I always hear people be like, I can't get into it. It's like it's one of those, it's kind of like those TV shows where you're like, oh, you just got to get past season 1, but then everything picks up. And I know that sucks to hear, because you're just like, look, if a TV show takes an entire season for me to get through to enjoy it, I don't want to watch it. But have you watched Clickbait yet?
Nope.
Clickbait is good. The Witcher. Have you seen The Witcher?
Nope.
Yeah. Schitt's Creek. You watched Schitt's Creek?
Nope.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm gonna have to text you some stuff. Like what?
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, like Schitt's Creek would be a good one for you two to watch together. You would really like that.
All right.
The Clickbait would be another good one.
I remember seeing that name. I know I've at least watched the preview that Netflix has for that one.
Yeah, it's like a psychological thriller, like crime.
I'm all about that shit too.
Oh yeah, you'll love it. You'll love it. Mindhunter. Have you watched that?
Nope.
that's another crime one. Like it's very graphic. It's pretty wild.
I'm at that time of the year, man, where I'm fighting myself not to watch the league for the 97th time through.
Oh yeah.
This fantasy football is back in action, and it's right there on Hulu for me to watch all over again for the like literally. I think I've watched it almost 100 times through at this point because for like when I first found out about the show, I just like watched it over and over because it was so funny, and and I was so like engulfed by fantasy football. So like every year I pretty much watch it through at least once, and I'm right back in that time of the year now where football is back in session. And I'm like, I need some more Rafi in my life. I need, I need,
See,
I
I've
need
never
the
been
league.
like that. I don't know why. Like well, so I do kind of know what. So I've got borderline, like, not necessarily like 100% of a photographic memory, but like it's like borderline there to where like if I watch something, like even like it can be years and years and years down the line, like I'll remember the entire thing. So I mean, there's movies I watched when I was a kid that like I can turn it on now after I haven't seen it in 15, 16 years, which I mean, it's been longer than that since I was a kid. We're talking about 20.
Yeah.
But I'll turn it on now and like I'll remember like scene for like I'll remember like, oh, like yeah, I know what happens in this scene. I know what happens in this scene. I've only seen the movie one time. And that's just the way I am with shows. Like once I've seen it once, like I pretty much have it,
right
in my head.
Yeah, I don't have a photographic memory by any means, but I'm 100% that way with the league. Like every single episode I turn on, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. But at least the first few seasons, they're so enjoyable for me that I don't care that I know what's about to happen. I can still watch. The last couple of seasons are, outside of a few episodes, they're kind of iffy. But like the league and like The Office, and then there's a couple of like House. There's a couple of shows that I have that I just really enjoy that I can watch, even if I know exactly what's about to happen. I can still.
One of the most like annoying things I can do. One of the most annoying things I can do is like I can quote almost word for word the entire Fast and Furious movie, like the first movie, like the
very first one. Yeah.
Like I can almost quote that movie word for word. Like the ands and the these and like all of it. Like it's so annoying. Like anytime that movie's always on like TNT too. So
is it
like,
the first one or the second one where he's like, dude, I almost had you? He's like, you didn't even have your car.
That's the first one. You never had me. You never had your car.
Yeah.
Granny shifting, not double clutching like you should.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The first one.
Oh man, those first two Fast and Furious movies were so like, oh, they were so good, man. It's a shame the turn that franchise took. And I'm still gonna watch it. I haven't seen it out, but
like I refused to watch after Paul Walker died, so I still haven't seen the one that they filmed. Like I've seen clips to where like he driving away and like he looks at him and then he goes off. Like I've seen the clip of it, but like I refuse to watch the movie. Like mainly,
you're not missing much.
Yeah, mainly because like as a grown man, I don't want to cry the entire time. But because look, dude, that first movie like was going through like my parents were getting a divorce. Like that's just like what I'd like. I would come home, like I'd bury myself into like the Fast and Furious movie and cars. Like I was really into cars as like a teenager, and like I loved that movie. So like that's what I did. Like a Hot Pocket, Fast and Furious, video games. And so like that movie always kind of holds like a special place because it got me through some really rough parts. Of growing up and stuff. But whenever Paul Walker died,
that's terrible, man.
Yeah, like man, like that really kind of hit me because of what that movie meant to me, like in the way it got me through like them rough parts. It was like there ain't no way I'm watching this movie like where like
sometimes you just gotta do it, man. Like
no, to this day I haven't seen it, and I haven't seen any movie after that. So basically every Fast and Furious I've watched, Paul Walker was in them, and I refuse to watch any Fast and Furious movie that does not include a actual real life Paul Walker, not a CGI of his brother.
Right.
Like any movie that does not include actual Paul Walker, I will not watch it.
Look, I mean, Hardball was the first movie that made me like full out cry, bro. Whenever G Baby got shot, but it's to
this day.
That's still one of my favorite movies of all time, and I cannot
That's another one I can't watch.
I couldn't begin to tell you how many times I've seen it. And it doesn't matter because every single time that scene rolls, whenever G baby, like I will cry 100%. It's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen. I'm not gonna stop it. I can't stop it if I wanted to, but I've watched that movie so many times because it's such a great movie.
What's some TV shows, man? Like, so here, like, not necessarily like, I don't even talk about crime, but like, so I'm trying to think of like my favorite TV shows that like I know you would like. Have you seen The Wire?
A little bit. No, I haven't watched it from beginning to end, but I have like looked into The Wire at least.
Okay. The Wire. It's for me, The Wire is the greatest TV show of all time, like bar none. Like it is the greatest. It's like between that and The Sopranos.
TV shows in terms of like that I've spent a lot of time watching. Criminal Minds is probably one of the shows I've spent the most time watching. And they're still, you know, it's still rolling. That's such a great show. I loved House of Cards before it took the unfortunate turn it did with everything that happened with, you know, the lead actor on that. Yeah, that was unfortunate.
I know me and you used to talk about that one.
Like we used to get hype when the new seasons would come out and shit, man. Like,
it was such. I was talking about that. That show was fantastic.
Yeah, it sucked.
The first 3 seasons of that show.
Kevin Spacey in that lead role was just so. There could not have been a more perfect actor for that.
No, he was fantastic.
I really enjoy Blacklist a lot.
I do like the Blacklist.
Kind of got burnt out on it, but like that was a show that I wasn't aware of before Netflix, and then you know I got hooked on it because of Netflix. Let's see, Shameless is a lot of like it's a funny show.
I watched like the first. I think I've seen like the first 4 seasons of that, and haven't seen anything after that. I just kind of fell out of favor with it.
Breaking Bad's one of my favorite TV shows of all time.
Breaking Bad's fantastic.
And then the movie that they have that goes along with it, I think is a great watch too. You know, not compared to the show, but the movie that they have on Netflix is great for that as well. I'm just going through some. Ozark is another great Netflix offering.
I've tried to get into that. Like
Ozark,
I've made it through season 1, and like I don't know why, but like I just can't.
That's one of the ones you're talking about. The one of the ones you were talking about earlier, where you just got to hang in there.
Yeah,
just hang in there, man. Because it just. I believe it's the 3rd season. The last one.
Like Breaking Bad was like that too. Like season 1, like it didn't really pop off till like the end of season 2. Like once season 3 hit with Breaking Bad, it was like, oh shit. Season 3 of Breaking Bad might be like the greatest season of television.
And the last season of Ozark, the one they're I think a new season's coming out relatively soon, but I'm pretty sure season 3 is the most recent season of Ozark. It ends on such a awesome cliffhanger that like I'm set.
Game of Thrones. Are you a Game of Thrones guy?
Wasn't a Game of Thrones guy. No, the 2 biggest shows that I'll tell you that people that like I went to school with, whenever the shows that were really big whenever I was in college that I wasn't on board with, that everybody told me to watch and I tried and I just couldn't do it. Game of Thrones was one, Sons of Anarchy was the other. Those were the 2 shows that everybody were just like begging me to watch, and I tried and I just couldn't do it.
Sons of Anarchy I liked, but I never finished it just because like it's another one of those that like it's just the same formula every season. Like it's like The Walking Dead almost, kind of like where like
I like Walking Dead a lot too, but I got burned out on that one.
Yeah, exactly. Like I mean, like, oh, we find a new place, let's settle here. Oh, something bad happened, let's move. Oh, we find a new place, let's settle here. Oh, something bad happens. I mean, it's every season.
Right.
That was kind of like Sons of Anarchy. What about Justified? You ever seen Justified?
Nope.
Oh man, you would love Justified. It actually takes place in Kentucky. He's a U.S. Marshal that moves to Kentucky, and that's all you need to know. Just watch it. So, dude, I've got a whole list of stuff, like entertaining stuff you could watch that I know you would dig it. It's just, as always, like, you know, like I said, it's different for me because I have, you know, once I get off at 4:00, I don't have kids or anything. Like I'll just be like, hey, I'm just gonna binge watch this tonight. Where I know you've got, you know, kids and all that kind of stuff, so it's a little bit harder for you to find the time to sit down and
my binge watching window is much smaller these days than they were back whenever I was in school and stuff like that. But but I'm also a night owl. So, if I find something that I know that I would only be into, it's a lot easier for me to binge watch it, because with my wife waking up, having to go to bed early, wake up early for work, our window of watching stuff together is extremely small. But with me being a night owl, if I can find stuff that I'm into that I know she wouldn't be, I can binge watch those pretty easily. Whenever sports and video games and stuff aren't consuming me, which also wasn't a huge window, but but I can at least squeeze it in. Like I watched All American.
Yeah, that
Netflix.
Was a pretty decent show.
It wasn't bad. It was kind of predictable in terms of like
it's a CW drama. I mean, it's a teenage drama show.
Yeah, I could have done with less drama and more football, but I mean, I get it.
Friday Night Lights was better.
Yeah, I agree. But that was the show I most recently just finished watching on my own, because my wife, and shout out to my wife, she's not a huge football fan, but whenever we went to that Rams Colts game, she was in it. Like, she was standing up, cheering with me, screaming
it's
with the Rams. Like, yeah, she was getting fired up, man. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I knew a football drama wouldn't be exactly her thing. So that was the show that I had watched most recently, in my own downtime and while I was traveling and stuff. And that wasn't bad, but it's just something, if you need a filler, if you need to waste some time, you can turn that on. It's a fine watch. There's some good stuff in it.
Yeah, we're still recording too. So I mean, if you guys have any shows that you want us to watch,
oh my God, yeah, I didn't even think about the fact that we're still
we're still recording, we're still rolling. So yeah, just drop those in the comments below.
If you somehow made it this,
we're just going.
Hell, man.
Yeah, dude, we'll go ahead and shut it down. I'll let you close, and then we don't want this to turn into like a 3-hour thing.
First and foremost, if you made it this far, salute to you. Holy hell, man. We appreciate you for just listening to us bullshit for like the last hour after we got done with all the week 3 football reactions. But yeah, so this is a part I probably should have done at the beginning of this podcast, because most of you all probably didn't make it this far. But regardless, if you did, as I already said, thank you for making it this far. We are on anywhere you can find podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify, whatever the case may be. As you can now finally see, we are not just a football podcast. We do have other interests in life. So something that we can try to mix in a little bit more if that was something you guys enjoyed. And then also, of course, if you want the visuals to go with the audio, head over to YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel, the Amateur Experts Podcast as well. Whenever you head over there, make sure that you like this video while you're there. And comment down below, if you disagree with any of the football takes, or if you have a different rise or fall or surprise team, whatever the case may be, let us know that. And then if you stuck around for the video game and the TV show and the movie takes and all that stuff, we're very interested in that stuff as well. So, leave some comments for us on that. But while you're here, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then click on the little bell that's going to pop up once you do subscribe, to make sure that you guys are aware of the most up-to-date uploads that we put out. You're talking about 2 shows a week, so we're not going to blow up your phone with notifications or anything like that, but you'll at least be aware whenever those do pop up. So thank you for all the support, thank you for listening, thank you for hanging out with us, and hopefully you can stick with us for some more NFL action, and then some extracurricular shit as well,
random stuff. So
right.
We appreciate it. Sorry to kind of get sidetracked, but I mean, hey, look, this is
sorry, but not sorry, because that was fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is our show. We'll do what we want.
You're free to click stop at any point.
I was gonna say, we definitely look forward to continuing on, and hopefully having Jared on here with us as well, because I know he likes all the same stuff we like. So it definitely makes it more fun. So thank you guys so much for listening. We will be back this weekend with our DFS and Smash or Pass for week 3, in order to get some more stuff wrong. So we will see you guys this weekend. Thanks so much for listening.